Welcome to this edition of Trump Trolls Trump, where I pick the very low hanging fruit of making fun of people who just happen to have my last name. Before we get started, I'd like to show you a clip from former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, who's had her lunch eaten, where she explains her theory on how we keep getting Donald Trump so wrong. Take a look.
And when you look at it, I just thought to myself, they haven't learned the lesson yet. And the lesson is this: maybe Trump is not trying to take Gaza. Maybe this is a grand part of a negotiation to get Iran to come to the table, to get Iran to hold back the proxies, to get Iran to stop its nuclear warfare on the world. Maybe that's it. My lesson to the media, this one line I wish they would take: President Trump is playing four-dimensional chess. You all are playing checkers.
Yes, and he invented the theory of relativity and string theory, and in his spare time is an Oxford Don teaching Milton's collected works. Okay, all right. He's an idiot, and basically, if you're playing chess, he's playing checkers. If you're playing checkers, he's kicking the board over because he can't even win at that. Listen, McEnany, you don't even work for him anymore. Get a life. And I say that because I care, which I don't. Okay, before we dive in further, and as usual, there's so much to get to. Please take a second to like and share this video. Don't forget to just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And after you do that, please click on the bell. That way you will be sure to get alerted every time a new video drops. This week, the new regime wanted us to know the definition of insanity and how Donald, this should be obvious to you by now, is an outside-the-box thinker. Watch this.
Because we're not going to lay out exactly what we would or would not do in this particular context. This is an outside-the-box thinker who understands, Laura, the definition of insanity, which is trying to do the same thing and hoping for a different result.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
The definition of insanity is attempting to do the same thing over and over and over again.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
President Trump is an outside-of-the-box thinker and a visionary leader.
The president is willing to think outside the box.
Let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea.
Bring in a leader who thinks outside the box, who's crazy, may just be crazy genius.
Sure. I think the definition of insanity might be repeating talking points that are absurd, inane, and ridiculous. But what do I know? Oh, wait, I actually do know something. I know I've said this before, but I think it's worth repeating. Clinical psychologist, not the definition of insanity. Also, not a psychological term. Insanity is a legal term. But what do they care? Also, what box exactly? Like the center box in the Hollywood Squares, Pandora's box? What box outside of which is this mad genius thinking to the extent that he thinks at all? Which is hard to do, I think, when most of your brain has been reduced to pablum. But again, what do I know? All right, more of Pete Hegseth, because who can get enough of him? This week, sadly, guy leading the Defense Department met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And I want to be very upfront here because this is a serious subject. But unfortunately, actually, I think we will find out in the not too distant future, tragically, the deeply unqualified, unnervingly unserious person, Pete Hegseth, is in charge of the Defense Department. So let's look at an example of why nobody should be hiring, they should be firing them for sure, but nobody should be hiring Fox weekend hosts as Secretary of Defense. Watch this clip.
You have a long memory. We have a long memory. And may our relationship continue to endure. We're going to continue to grow our defense industrial base. We've supplied munitions that were previously not supplied, that are useful in eradicating radical enemies, and we are committed to continuing to do so.
Yeah, nailed it, Pete. Keep up the terrible job. I'd say keep up the good work, but I think we have two very, very different definitions of what that might mean. By the way, hope you're sitting down. Kevin McCarthy, the totally unlamented former Speaker of the House who lasted like, I don't know, 4.5 Scaramucci's, is back. Not sure why. Nobody missed you, Kevin. And of course, he's defending Elon Musk because apparently all of these people we thought we were rid of are still on some payroll that requires them to pay obeisance to the likes of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Check out this clip.
I'm sorry. Elon Musk is the Thomas Edison, Michelangelo of today. The man is brilliant. And you may not have elected him, but this is what Kennedy actually told us. Don't ask what you get from your country. Ask what you could do for your country.
Okay. So what if he's unelected? Who cares? And okay, Thomas Edison was an asshole, actually. So that might actually be an apt comparison because Thomas Edison stole ideas from a lot of people. Michelangelo, are you? What? That's offensive for so many reasons. But one of the reasons it's offensive is because Michelangelo created things. He created things to make the world a better place, or at least his little corner of Italy. Elon Musk is a destroyer of all things good. Also, I don't mean to be too insulting here, but Kevin McCarthy is not the brightest bulb in the box. So the fact that he thinks somebody is a genius doesn't really go too far. So remember, he probably thinks Donald Trump is a genius too. Have you guys noticed that Donald has certain weird obsessions, especially vis-a-vis water? On February 1st, he ordered the release of 2.2 billion gallons of water from 2 Central California reservoirs, claiming it would help farmers and Los Angeles firefighters. That seems unlikely. I know maybe he thought that's the water that came out of that huge spigot sitting at the top of Northern California, because I think that's how he thinks map work. If something's north, it means it's higher, right? So water would naturally flow down to the south. I'm speculating, but let's see how all of this turned out.
An update now to a story from last week involving President Trump's executive order to release more than 2 billion gallons of water in our state.
We want to get that water pouring down here as quickly as possible, let hundreds of millions of gallons of water flow down into Southern California.
President Trump said Friday he had ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to release the water to help farmers and the LA region following the wildfires. Experts say the flows did not reach LA and they did not help Central Valley farmers in the middle of winter. One water scientist called Mr. Trump's order political showmanship. He says the water did not reach any city, will not be used for firefighting, and will not be stored for the dry summer season. It just soaked into the ground.
Look, if you don't want it, you're going to tell me, but I can't imagine it.
I don't know where California's government was in all of this. Why nobody stepped in to say, that's a really bad idea. You know, why they went along with this idiotic suggestion to waste so much water for absolutely no reason other than to make this idiot feel good about himself. Or, you know what? Maybe it was this. California, as we know, subject to lots of natural disasters which are increasing in frequency and intensity, probably feel the need to stay on the right side of this deranged sociopath, using the term colloquially, of course. A judge awarded the trademark symbols and name of the Proud Boys to a Washington church to help pay a $2.8 million judgment against the extreme far-right group. Good news for a change, seriously. Let's take a look.
It's a big win for this historic black church in downtown D.C. This week, a district court judge awarding Metropolitan AME rights to the Proud Boys trademark. The decision comes years after members of the far-right group vandalized a Black Lives Matter sign in front of the church following a 2020 rally for President Trump. Metropolitan taking the Proud Boys to court to recoup the damages and were eventually awarded $2.8 million, which the group never paid. Pastor William Lamar IV says they want to send a message. Monday's ruling allows the church to seize money the Proud Boys make using the name. In 2021, then leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, confessing to vandalizing the church. He was later sentenced to 22 years in prison for his role in planning the January 6th riot. After the trademark ruling, Tarrio taking to X, writing, "The Proud Boys are now changing our name to the African Methodist Episcopal Boys."
They need to know that it's not okay to do this to Metropolitan, and it is not okay to do this to anyone. They must pay what the judge said, and now we own what is valuable to them, and we will collect.
Well, it turns out that a lot of the January 6th insurrectionists who were pardoned are recidivists. So here's hoping Enrico Tarrio ends up back where he belongs, because not only is he not funny, he's not in prison anymore, because he, of course, was one of those pardoned. Donald pardoned all of them, or commuted the sentences of those serving the most time for seditious conspiracy. Now, obviously, I'm very grateful that the church got its money and that the Proud Boys logo is no longer going to be in circulation. I'm sure the church will do much better, will make much better use of that money. That goes without saying. However, I am not as hopeful that the Proud Boys will be sidelined in any way, shape, or form, because a man who champions them and pardoned them and his fascist party are now running everything. I'm sure you guys remember this because it was the topic of much heated conversation in the lead up to the 2024 election. But Donald claimed unequivocally, on day one of his administration, if he were to win the election, he was going to lower the cost of groceries for everyone. Everyone would have lower grocery bills. The whole election seemed to be maddeningly about the price of eggs. One of the reasons that's maddening is because, seriously, like, that's it for you guys? Like, that's the only thing you're voting about? Women's rights being destroyed? Climate change? We'll deal with that later. Seriously, the price of eggs. What made it even worse, though, and I am not belittling people who are concerned about costs. It is a very real and serious problem. It's just that, like, that one product got singled out time and time again. Nobody ever explained why eggs were so fucking expensive. It was because of the H5N1 bird flu, which is ravaging flocks, causing poultry farmers to cull millions of birds so that the flu doesn't spread, making eggs less and less readily available, which does what? Drives up cost. Who can control that? Nobody. So essentially, people were convinced to vote on an issue that was non-existent. Do you want to guess how all of this is starting out? Take a look.
Tonight, egg prices breaking records and set to soar even higher as restaurants and grocery stores are forced to pay more to get eggs because of bird flu growing across the U.S. Customers in grocery stores across the country shocked at what they've seen.
When did eggs become $9.99, $10.29, $14.99 for eggs?
It also comes as the famous breakfast chain Waffle House announced they'll charge an extra 50 cents per egg until egg prices ease. And tonight, a remarkable scene. In Pennsylvania, police say 100,000 eggs were stolen from a trailer at Pete and Jerry's Organics. $40,000 worth of eggs.
You know how they always say elections have consequences? That's right about where we are. I think we may have solved the egg stealing mystery, though. Here's who, you know, we do our best here. So we have not independently verified this. This is speculation. I just want to put that out there. But this is who we think might have been behind the theft of those eggs. The execrable Senator Foghorn Leghorn.
Let me try to put all this in context for you. I like omelets. I mean, I really like omelets. I could eat an omelet at every meal. I like omelets better than sex. Not really, but you get the point. I like omelets. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
I don't really get the point, actually, and I don't think I want to. I feel bad that I played that for you again, but this is what we do here. I actually think this might have to become a daily show because there are so many people, not just with the Trump name, but under the umbrella of the Trumps that who deserve our mockery. So we will keep at it. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's edition of Trump Trolls Trump, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.